The mining moon was a quiet place where nothing important ever happened. It floated alone at the far edge of human space, cold and gray, covered in dust that never moved unless a ship landed. Jonah Hale liked it that way. He had never wanted noise, crowds, or attention. He only wanted simple work, steady pay, and long stretches of silence where his thoughts could rest. Most days were the same. He woke before the artificial lights brightened, drank bitter station coffee, and walked across the metal platforms toward the salvage yard. Broken ships arrived once every few weeks, old cargo haulers, cracked survey drones, sometimes wreckage that had drifted for years before being pulled in by the moon's weak gravity. Jonah's job was to search through the remains, remove anything useful, and send reports to people far away who never learned his face. He preferred machines to people. Machines were honest. If something was broken, it showed. If something worked, it worked the same way every time. People were harder. They asked questions he did not know how to answer. That morning felt ordinary at first. The sky above the thin atmosphere held the same pale color. The wind sensors showed nothing unusual. Jonah stepped into his suit, checked the oxygen seal, and walked out into the dust. Then the alarm sounded. It was not loud, just a sharp tone in his helmet, repeating 3 times. Unauthorized impact. Unregistered vessel. Possible hazard. Jonah stopped walking. For a moment he thought it was a system error. The moon's scanners were old, and false warnings happened sometimes. But when he looked toward the northern ridge, he saw smoke rising in a thin black line against the gray horizon. A ship had crashed. No signal had come before it. No distress call, no flight record. Just sudden fire from the sky and silence after. Protocol was clear. He should return to the station, report the crash, and wait for military command. Unregistered ships near the border could mean smugglers, spies, or worse. Sometimes they carried diseases or weapons that spread without warning. Salvage workers were not soldiers. They were told to stay away. Jonah stood there for a long time, watching the smoke twist slowly upward. The alarm tone faded, leaving only the quiet sound of his breathing inside the helmet. He should turn back. Instead, he started walking toward the crash. The ground sloped downward into a shallow valley filled with sharp rocks. Dust slid under his boots with soft crunching sounds. As he moved closer, the air filled with the faint smell of burned metal leaking through his suit's filters. Pieces of blackened debris lay scattered across the surface, still warm, half buried in gray powder. The ship was unlike any human design he had seen. Its surface curved in smooth lines instead of hard angles. Parts of the hull looked melted, as if shaped by heat instead of tools. Faint blue light flickered under cracked plates, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. One entire side had split open during impact, leaving a dark wound in the structure. Jonah felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. This was not just unregistered. This was alien. Human space had known other species for decades, but contact was rare, careful, and always controlled by governments. A lone alien vessel crashing without warning at the edge of nowhere was the kind of event that started wars. He told himself to turn back again, but he kept moving forward. At the edge of the broken hull, he paused. His suit lights shone into the opening, revealing twisted corridors and floating sparks from damaged systems. No movement, no sound, only the slow ticking of cooling metal. Just check for survivors, he whispered to himself, though no one could hear. Then report. He stepped inside. Gravity felt strange, uneven, as if the ship could not decide which direction was down. Loose fragments drifted in the air. A faint humming sound vibrated through the walls, weak but steady. Some system was still alive. Jonah followed the largest corridor toward the center of the wreck. His boots touched the floor lightly, careful not to disturb anything dangerous. Every shadow made his pulse quicken. He expected something to jump out at any moment, some unknown creature, some hidden defense. Instead, he found her. She lay near a broken console, half covered by fallen metal. Her body was shaped almost like a human woman's, but thinner, more fragile, with skin that held a faint silver glow under the emergency lights. Dark lines traced across her arms like delicate patterns. Her hair floated around her face in soft strands that shimmered blue at the edges. For a moment, Jonah forgot how to breathe. She was clearly alive. Her chest rose slowly. One hand twitched weakly against the floor. An alien survivor. Protocol screamed inside his mind. Do not approach. Unknown biology. Possible threat. Report immediately. He took one step closer. Her eyes opened. They were not frightening, not monstrous, just wide with pain and fear. She looked at him the way any injured person might look at the only other living being in the room. A small device rested against her throat, cracked and sparking. It struggled to produce sound. Static filled the air between them. Then a single word formed in broken human language. Help! The sound was soft, almost lost under the noise of failing machinery. But Jonah heard it clearly. Help. Not a command. Not a threat. Just a plea. His training told him to leave. His fear told him to run. Every rule built to protect humanity told him this moment was dangerous beyond measure. But the word stayed in his mind. Help. He remembered long years of silence on distant stations. He remembered being ignored when he spoke, forgotten when he left. He remembered what it felt like to need someone and find no one there. Slowly, carefully, he knelt beside her. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, he said quietly, though she might not understand, but I'm here. Her breathing shook. One trembling hand reached toward him, then fell weakly. The translator sparked again, trying to form more words, but failed. Jonah looked around the ruined ship. Warning lights dimmed further. Whatever life support remained would not last long. If he left to report, she would die before anyone returned. The decision formed without clear thought. He lifted her gently. She was lighter than he expected, fragile as if made from glass. A faint warmth passed through his suit where their bodies touched. Not heat exactly, but something softer, almost like emotion turned into energy. His heart began to race, though he did not know why. I'm taking you out, he murmured. Stay with me. No answer came, but her breathing steadied slightly, as if she understood. Carrying her through the broken corridor felt longer than entering. Every second he expected alarms, explosions, something to stop him. Nothing did. The wreck remained quiet, watching. Outside, the gray sky stretched empty above them. Jonah hurried across the dust toward a small storage crawler hidden behind rocks, a personal vehicle he used for distant salvage runs. It was not meant for passengers, especially not alien ones, but it was all he had. He sealed the rear compartment, increased oxygen flow, and laid her carefully on insulated padding. Medical supplies were basic, designed for human injuries, yet he used what he could, closing visible wounds, stabilizing her breathing, lowering her body temperature to safe levels. Minutes passed, then more. At last her breathing became slow and steady instead of broken. She did not wake, but she did not die. Jonah sat beside her in silence, hands shaking. What did I just do? He whispered. He already knew the answer. He had broken quarantine law, military protocol, and probably half a dozen interspecies treaties. If anyone discovered this, his life would end, not in death perhaps, but in prison or disappearance. Yet when he looked at her peaceful face, he felt something unexpected. Not fear. Relief. A sudden vibration interrupted the quiet. His console screen lit with a distant sensor alert from the station network. Incoming ships. Multiple, moving fast. Too fast for normal patrol. Jonah's chest tightened. If authorities reached the crash site and found signs of rescue, they would search the entire moon. They would find her, and whatever people had destroyed her ship might not be far behind. He did the only thing he could think of. He turned the crawler away from the station and drove toward the far side of the moon, where old mining tunnels lay abandoned and forgotten. As the vehicle moved across endless gray dust, the unconscious alien stirred slightly. Her hand slipped from the blanket and touched his arm. A faint glow spread from her skin into his glove. Soft, warm, almost grateful. Jonah swallowed hard and kept driving into the silent dark, not knowing that far beyond the moon, hidden in deep space, massive warships had already changed their course, and they were coming straight toward him. The crawler moved slowly across the empty gray land, its small engine humming like a tired machine that wanted to sleep. Jonah Hale kept both hands tight on the controls, even though the path ahead was clear. There were no roads on the mining moon, only dust, broken stone, and long shadows that stretched under the pale sky. Behind him, in the narrow rear compartment, the alien woman lay wrapped in thermal blankets. The soft blue glow of her skin was dim now, almost fading. But her breathing remained steady. Every few minutes, Jonah looked back to make sure she was still alive. Each time he saw her chest rise, a quiet relief settled inside him. He did not understand why he cared so much. He had known her for less than an hour. She was not human. She might even be dangerous. But the single word she had spoken, help, kept echoing in his mind like a sound that refused to disappear. The station signals continued to blink on his console. Patrol ships had entered the moon's outer orbit. Official messages repeated across open channels, ordering all workers to remain in safe zones and report any unknown contact immediately. Jonah muted the sound. Hearing the calm voices of command only made his heart beat faster. If they found her, they would take her away. Maybe to study. Maybe to destroy. He did not know which was worse. The crawler reached a line of jagged cliffs where old mining tunnels cut deep into the rock. These tunnels had been abandoned years ago when the mineral supply ran out. Most maps no longer showed them. That was why Jonah chose this place. He guided the vehicle into a narrow opening just wide enough to pass. Darkness closed around them, broken only by the crawler's white headlights. Dust drifted in the air like slow snow. The deeper he drove, the quieter the world became, until even the distant station signals faded into silence. At last he stopped inside a wide chamber supported by metal beams left from the mining days. Broken equipment lay scattered across the ground. Nothing had moved here for a very long time. It felt hidden. Safe, at least for now. Jonah shut down the engine and listened. Only silence answered. He climbed into the rear compartment and knelt beside the alien woman. Up close, he could see details he had missed before. The faint silver patterns on her skin were not random. They curved in careful lines, almost like writing or living circuits. Soft light moved through them slowly, pulsing with her heartbeat. Her face looked peaceful now, though pale. Fragile, but not weak. "You're still here," he whispered. As if hearing his voice through sleep, her eyelids moved slightly. A small breath escaped her lips. Then, slowly, her eyes opened. They focused on him, with confusion at first, then recognition. Fear flickered there too, but it was softer than before. Jonah felt suddenly unsure what to say. He had imagined this moment during the drive, but now words felt too small. "Hi," he said quietly. "You're safe, I think." The broken translator at her throat sparked faintly. Static filled the small space. She lifted a trembling hand and touched the device, trying to adjust it. The effort seemed to hurt. Jonah gently stopped her. "Don't move too much, you're injured." She watched him carefully, studying his face as if searching for meaning beyond language. Beyond language. Then the translator released a weak sound. "You stayed." The words were slow and uneven, but clear enough. He nodded. "Yeah, I stayed." Her eyes closed briefly, and something like relief passed across her expression. When she looked at him again, the fear had lessened. "Why?" the translator asked. Jonah opened his mouth, then paused. He did not have a simple answer. Because she asked. Because leaving felt wrong. Because loneliness. Understood. Loneliness. None of those sounded logical. "I don't know," he admitted. "You needed help." She studied him for a long moment, as if that answer meant more than he understood. Silence returned, gentle this time. The faint blue light from her skin reflected off the metal walls, turning the dark chamber into something almost calm. After a while, she tried to sit up. Pain crossed her face, but she forced herself upright with quiet determination. Jonah moved to support her, careful not to hurt her. "Thank you," the translator whispered. He felt strangely embarrassed. "You're welcome." She looked around the tunnel, sensing the hidden place, then back at him. "Danger comes," she said softly. His chest tightened. "You mean the ships?" Her eyes widened slightly, surprised he understood. She gave a small nod. "Not yours only." A cold feeling spread through him. "Someone followed you." Another nod, slower this time. Jonah leaned back against the metal wall, trying to think clearly. If enemy ships were coming, hiding in a tunnel would not save them for long. This moon was too small, too exposed. "What did they want?" he asked. The translator struggled, searching for the right human words. "End us," she said at last. "I'll." The simple sentence felt heavier than any long explanation. Jonah swallowed. "Your people?" Her gaze dropped. The blue glow in her skin dimmed, like a light fading at sunset. "Gone," the translator breathed. He did not ask more. He did not need to. The quiet sorrow in her eyes told the rest. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The abandoned tunnel held their silence like a secret. Finally, she lifted one weak hand toward him. In her palm rested a small, glowing shard, smooth and clear like crystal but filled with slow-moving light. He had not seen her take it out. "For you?" she said. Jonah hesitated. "What is it?" "Memory." "Map. Warning." He carefully accepted the shard. The moment it touched his glove, warmth spread up his arm. Not heat, but a gentle pressure inside his mind. Like distant music he could almost hear. Images flickered at the edge of thought. Stars. Worlds. Fire. "Running ships. Endless dark." He gasped softly. The glow faded, leaving only the quiet crystal in his hand. She watched him closely. "It chose," the translator whispered. "Chose what? You?" He stared at the shard, then back at her. "Why me? I'm nobody." Her expression softened in a way that felt almost human. "You," answered. Those two words settled deep inside him. Before he could reply, a distant vibration rolled through the tunnel floor. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin streams. Jonah's head snapped toward the entrance. That was not natural. Not mining collapse. Something from above. He rushed to the crawler's console and activated external sensors. The screen filled with signals. Multiple large ships entering low orbit. Far more than a simple patrol. Some were human. Others were not. Cold fear returned, sharper than before. "They're here," he said quietly. Behind him, the alien woman closed her eyes as if she had expected this moment all along. Her glowing skin brightened slightly, not with fear, but with calm acceptance. "Then we must choose," the translator said. Jonah looked at her. "Choose what?" Her eyes opened again, steady despite pain. Hope or silence? Another tremor shook the tunnel, stronger this time. Small stones cracked loose and bounced across the metal floor. Jonah tightened his grip on the glowing shard. He did not understand everything that was happening. He did not know how one quiet miner could matter in a conflict between stars, but he knew one thing clearly. He was not going to leave her. Not now. Not when danger had finally arrived. Above the silent moon, hidden fleets moved into position, preparing for decisions that could change more than a single world. And deep in the forgotten dark, a human who believed he was nobody was about to become the most important choice in the galaxy. Dust continued to fall from the ceiling of the abandoned tunnel in thin gray lines, each small tremor reminding Jonah Hale that the quiet safety he had hoped for was ending. The mining moon had always felt forgotten, too small for history to notice. Now, powerful ships circled above it, and the silence below felt fragile, like glass ready to break. He stood beside the crawler's console, watching sensor signals move across the dim screen. Human patrol ships held a wide defensive line in orbit, their transponders bright and organized. Farther out, darker signals waited without identification, larger and colder. They did not broadcast greetings or warnings. They simply watched. Jonah did not need military training to understand what that meant. Behind him, the alien woman rested against folded blankets, her breathing slow but controlled. The faint blue light within her skin had grown slightly stronger since she woke, though weakness still showed in the careful way she moved. She watched him study the screen, her expression calm in a way that felt deeper than simple courage. Those are them, she said softly through the damaged translator. Jonah nodded without turning. Yeah, I figured. For a moment he wanted to ask how many worlds those ships had destroyed, how many people had spoken the same final word she had spoken in the wreckage, but the questions felt too heavy for the small tunnel. Instead, he asked the only thing that mattered now. Can they find us down here? She was quiet before answering. Yes, if they search. He let out a slow breath. So hiding was only time, not safety. He had known that, but hearing it made the truth solid. Another vibration passed through the ground, softer this time, like distant thunder rolling under stone. Not an attack, yet, more like movement. Positioning, waiting. They're not firing, Jonah murmured. Why wait? The translator crackled faintly. They learn first, always. He turned to look at her. Learn what? Her eyes met his, steady and clear despite exhaustion. If mercy exists. The words felt strange coming from someone hunted across space. Do they ever find it? He asked quietly. She did not answer. She did not need to. Silence filled the tunnel again. Heavier now. Jonah looked down at the glowing shard still resting in his hand. Its light pulsed slowly, almost matching his heartbeat. Since touching it, he felt different in a way he could not explain. More awake, more aware of something just beyond normal thought. Not power, not knowledge, just connection? What is this really? He asked. You said memory, map, warning, but it feels like more. She watched the crystal carefully, as if choosing honest words mattered. It listens, she said. To what? To hearts. Jonah gave a small, uncertain laugh. That sounds like a story people tell kids. Yes, she said gently. We thought the same. Her gaze softened, filled with something like distant memory. Long ago, we believed kindness shaped the universe. Not force, not fear. Kindness. A pause. We were wrong. Jonah closed his fingers around the shard. Maybe not completely. Before she could reply, the crawler's console emitted a sharp tone. A new signal pushed through static. Tight, controlled, unmistakably human command frequency. He activated audio. Unregistered surface unit, a calm voice said, echoing slightly through interference. This is Orbital Command. Respond immediately. Jonah's stomach tightened. They were scanning deeper now. It would not take long. He muted the channel but knew it would open again. Human command would keep calling until silence became suspicion. What happens if they find you? He asked her. She understood the real question beneath it. War sooner, she said quietly. And if I give you up? Her eyes closed for a brief moment. War. Later, not peace. Just time. Jonah leaned back against the cold metal wall, staring at the ceiling lost in shadow. All his life he had avoided big choices. He fixed machines, followed schedules, stayed invisible. Important decisions belonged to important people far away. Now the future of more than one world seemed to be sitting in a broken tunnel with him, breathing softly under dim light. I'm not a hero, he whispered. She opened her eyes again. I know. Strangely, that helped more than praise would have. Another signal tone sounded. This one. Different, not human. Lower, resonant. The console struggled to translate, but failed. Her body went still. They speak, she said. What are they saying? Waiting. For what? Her gaze moved slowly back to him. For you. Cold spread through his chest. They don't even know me. They know, someone answered. The simple truth of that made his pulse quicken. Somehow the act of helping one wounded stranger had already changed something larger than he could see. The human command signal returned, louder, more urgent. Surface unit, respond! Magnet, you are in a restricted zone. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action. Jonah shut his eyes briefly. If he answered, soldiers would come. If he stayed silent, they would come harder. Every path led to discovery. Unless there was another choice. He looked again at the glowing shard. You said this listens to hearts. What does it do with that? Her voice was barely above a breath. It shows truth to those who cannot feel it. A slow idea formed, fragile and impossible. The ships up there, he said, the ones hunting you. They don't understand mercy, sacrifice, anything like that. No? What if they could? He asked. She stared at him, realization growing like dawn light. Dangerous, she whispered. Everything already is. His hands trembled slightly, but the thought would not leave. If the enemy learned to understand empathy, really understand, it might stop them, or it might do nothing, or it might kill him before anything changed. Still, it was the only path that was not simple surrender, or simple death. Human command called again, voice tightening with suspicion. Time was ending. He looked at her one last time, searching for doubt, for a reason not to try. He found fear, but also hope, small, fragile, real. If you do this, she said softly, you may die. He managed a faint smile. Yeah, I figured. Why? She asked, not confused, just needing to hear it. He thought of long, silent years, of being unseen, of one quiet word spoken in pain. Because you asked for help, he said. Something bright moved through her glowing skin, like light through water. Not power, emotion, deep and endless. The shard in his hand began to shine stronger, reacting to the moment, to the choice already made. Above the moon, weapon systems across multiple fleets shifted toward readiness energy gathered in silent barrels capable of ending cities. Commanders waited for orders that would begin history's next war. Deep underground, a single human miner stepped toward an uncertain future with nothing but compassion as his plan. He placed the glowing shard into the crawler's central power interface. Light spread instantly through the old machine, flowing along dead circuits as if waking something forgotten. The tunnel filled with soft radiance, blue and warm and alive. "Signal!" "Forming," she whispered in awe. Jonah's heart pounded. Will it reach them? Yes. Will it work? She did not answer. Energy built around them, gentle but immense, like standing inside a rising sunrise. The air felt thicker, filled with silent music. Thoughts brushed the edge of Jonah's mind, memories not his own, feelings older than language, grief and love and endless longing to not be alone in the dark. He understood then. The signal was not sound or data. It was emotion. Pure, honest, impossible to hide. Human command voices above shifted suddenly from authority to confusion as unknown energy spread across orbit. Enemy ships altered formation, weapons pausing mid-charge. Every system in the tunnel trembled under growing light. Jonah felt warmth spreading through his chest, deeper than body, touching something essential. Fear remained, but it no longer ruled him. He looked at her as brightness surrounded them both. "No matter what happens," he said quietly, "I'm glad I didn't walk away." Her eyes shone with reflected light, filled with something like wonder. "So are we?" she whispered. The signal reached full strength. Across the silent void of space, fleets that had never known mercy suddenly felt the weight of a single human choice. Selfless, fragile, real. And for the first time in their long history of conquest, they hesitated.